You said Ramsey. Zach, you got the remote.
Yeah.
Good to go. All right. Welcome everybody to season 2, episode 35 of The Movement.
The movement.
We are officially live. We just threw Emily off there for a second, but it's all right. We are looking forward to today's show. We have a great show today. First of all, we haven't been in the studio for like a little bit. It's been a couple weeks. You know, we went live, a pre-recorded show for Motivate Me 313. The Movement last week went live for the softball game. So we were at a place, and then even for the fantasy guys, the last show that we had was the live basketball game as well. So, you know, it's our first time being in the studio in the last couple of weeks, but we're happy to be back. We're happy to be here. Let me introduce the people that are in the building. First of all, you got Ramsey in the back. Go ahead, Ramsey, give yourself a round of applause just for being Ramsey. All right, he does his thing. We appreciate him in the producer role. We got Big General Zach.2, fresh off a TikTok video that was a little questionable, but we'll discuss that after the show. All right, and then you got big little bro Yusuf Thabit. You got myself, Omar T, and our guest today is Emily, the photographer. Emily Photography. Emily does photos, all the above. Shout out to Emily. She's in the building today. So today we are going to learn about the art of photography and, you know, everything in between it. She's a professional photographer. We'll also give you ways to where you can reach out to her for future reference to make sure that maybe if you want to book her for a future event. I know I had her take professional photos of myself, and I'm telling you right now, she's the real deal. But before we get into the show and everything else, be sure to subscribe to all of our pages. You got YouTube, Oz Media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Oz Media. You can listen to the show later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. If you want to call in, the number is 313-306-1750. Again, 313-306-1750. That's the number you can call in for future shows. Also, we got to give a shout out to the sponsors. You got the Balkan House, Hanley International Academy, BC Adhesives, Qahwa House, and Juice Box in Hamtramck. Let's start off with giving a shout out to the place in Hamtramck, Juice Box, who, you know, if you're looking for some ice creams, you're looking for some smoothies, bobas, that's the place to go. Shout out to Juice Box. Shout out to Hakeem. Go ahead and run that ad, and then we'll get our show started.
Juice Box in Hamtramck. Juice Box in Hamtramck is a new business that we've all been waiting for. If you're looking for a place with the best smoothies, milkshakes, ice cream, crepes, cereal bars, and slushies, then Juice Box in Hamtramck is your one-stop shop. You can try things like their Biscoff or Nutella shakes, crepes, watermelon blasts, strawberry burst or mango smoothies, as well as cereal options such as Fruit Loops, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Fruity Pebbles. They even have a comfortable outdoor patio/courtyard area that you and your friends can enjoy while trying those delicious drinks. So be sure to stop by Juice Box in Hamtramck. Location is 11647 Joseph Campo Avenue, and be ready to leave there with a big smile on your face. And if you're on the run, order your drink from their new Juice Box app, downloadable on all of your smartphone devices.
All right, we are officially back. Like I said, we're here. We're live with Emily. I kind of quickly introduced her, called her a photographer, but can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? What is the work that you do? What high school you attended, and where you're at now in life? You know, what is it that you do now these days?
Yeah, definitely. So I live in Hamtramck, Michigan. My studio's at the Russell Industrial in Detroit. I specialize in weddings, portraits, creative fashion, and drone work. And then I went to Hamtramck High School,
Okay, and so when did you actually, like, my question to you is, like, when did you begin, like, hey, you know, this is something I want to do, like this photography stuff?
That's a tough question. I think I've always been into photography since I was young. When it came to, like, the Kodak disposable films, I used to love those. So when I was little, I used to go around and take pictures of anything. And the most exciting part of that is you didn't know if it was good or bad. So it was like the excitement of, what did I create?
Yeah.
Is it a good image? Most of the time, I would get it back, and I'm like, what is this? It would be like the harsh flash. I don't know if you remember how those film pictures came out. So
For sure. No, that's so funny that you say that, because now, like, we get it instantly, you know, right on our phones. We can see what's right. But I remember when we used to take photos, you never got a chance to see what it was until you went and bought the pictures, or you got them printed, like, at Rite Aid or CVS or something. And then we would go there, and then we'd literally look at Rite Aid and look at the photos, like, you know what? We only want this one, and this one. because we didn't want all the photos. You know what I'm saying? These guys right here, I'm gonna make sure I dish out questions to them about photography, photos. You know, what are y'all thoughts overall on just the whole art of photography? You know, people taking photos. And I don't want you, you know, I want to ask you guys, do you guys think it's hard to take a good photo? All right. So, Zach, I'm looking at you first. You want to start off with that?
I don't think it's hard, you know, because, you know, like taking a photo, like making it look good.
Taking the perfect photo or taking the right photo of a scene or situation.
Oh yeah, that's hard. But like making it like picture look good or something, that's not really hard. Cause like making a photo, what you said is, because what if like something happens in the background or something? You know, there's something in the background, or like you close your eyes with one picture, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Yusuf? What are your thoughts on the whole photography, the art of photography?
I don't ever think there's like a perfect photo, in my opinion. I feel like because everyone has their different, outlooks on a photo. Because some may say, oh, I think the sky looks better on this one than the other one, or things like that. But when it comes to photography, taking a photo, like I said, it really depends on what the person wants in the photo. So like you just do what he wants or what she wants, and that's what it is. I feel like you go by what their directions, and I feel like the output would be great, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I know, Emily, you were talking about how, you know, when you started, but like, I guess what was like the main thing that kind of drove you to wanting to get into photography?
That's another tough question.
Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, everybody obviously, you know, takes pictures, but taking that next leap of like wanting to do it, you know?
Well, I think for me, I really enjoy like magazine covers or movie covers, and I always used to look at them. And I'm like, how did they create that image? What was the lighting for the image? Like I wanted to create something like that.
Yeah.
But just for ordinary people, it doesn't have to be a celebrity, a movie star, but just to give them that cinematic look, I think that's really exciting for me. Is to just create that same kind of lighting or even the color grade of it.
Yeah.
So.
And even when we went to the studio for my photos, like I could tell like the passion and you wanted to like create different things and you know, move things around so that the perfect photo can, I mean, at least close to the perfect photo that can exist. So
Hold on.
go ahead.
When it comes to like the perfect photo, like what camera do you think is the best?
We're drilling you with the tough questions.
I feel like it's all subjective. That's the thing. So I can say, for me, I love Sony, but Sony, I would say, is better for videography. But the only reason I enjoyed it is because I went to Best Buy and I'm like, I didn't even research what's the best camera. I was just like, what do you think the best camera is? He gave me a Sony mirrorless camera, and then I just got so comfortable with it. But I would say, as a photographer, it's good to like try different cameras, see what feels good. See if I think certain cameras have different like color. Like, so this one's a very flat, like, so it's really good for editing after. But Canon's the most popular when it comes to photography.
Nice.
I would think so.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like the newer phones can overtake a camera?
No.
Never?
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
Unless they start putting attachable lenses onto your phone, no.
Can you see that happening?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I do too.
That's probably going to be like Apple's new add-ons.
Yeah.
They're gonna, like sell you little additional
For sure.
things they can.
Yeah, because like the way that they're heading to, like I remember we talked about phones and how like they could kind of just be used as of right now to start up with, and like these phones never used to do this. Like if you think about it, like 10, 15 years ago. So the way I'm looking at it now is like they always trying to get better and better and better. I could see that, you know, like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line where they, you know, sell attachable lenses so that it can get better and the photos can get better for sure. So no, but so first of all, we got people saying true, best show on Saturday afternoon. Shout out to Cal Trey. And then tell us a little bit more about the science of Polaroids. Is there a science of Polaroids, or is that like a logical question, or no?
What do you mean the science of it?
I don't know. I guess that was his way of asking a question. This guy right here. So shout out to 35 League. So I'm guessing that's the guys from the 35 League. All right. So let's move on to more of the serious questions. All right. So when you talk about taking a photo, what are some of the key steps, you know, when you talk about capturing a great photo? Like what would you make sure that person drills, make sure that they get right?
Number one, lighting. Definitely lighting. I wish I would have studied lighting earlier than I honestly just started diving into it this past 2 years, because it can change your whole face shape. It can change so much about a person. And I feel like the right lighting gives the right theme of the photo. So I would say that's one of my most favorite. I started off with natural light, so also learning to go outside and just, learn different outdoor lighting settings too, because it changes very fast. And I think that's a challenge from like doing like sunset photos. You got to capture that quick because the sun's changing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's my phone.
No, I thought it was me. I'm like, so yeah, when the sun sets, I like doing sunset photos, but it gets dark so quickly, and I do everything manual, so I have to quickly keep changing my settings based on the sun setting. So I think lighting is number one. And then honestly, it's so subjective of what's a good photo. It depends on what angles you enjoy shooting at. I shoot a lot of, portraits. So a lot of the work that I do, it's more based on like expressions of people and making sure that I bring out their personality. So it all depends on what you do. If you're doing landscape, there's different styles of landscape. It all depends on what you enjoy doing as a photographer. I don't think there's like a right and a wrong. And especially now, like even going based on, you can edit anything out too. So it's kind of scary because there's like a lazy way of doing it now. It's like, I'll just edit it later, and that's not good either. I kind of want to do everything. My challenge is to do everything in camera so I have less work to do. And once you start getting a lot of, photo shoots, you want to get the right shot in camera. You don't want to have to go back and edit it because it gets very exhausting quickly.
So when you said that you change your settings, like according to like the lighting of the outside, the natural lighting, do you feel like that's something for someone that's still learning? Obviously, you're a professional, but for someone that's still learning or trying to master it or something like that, is that something that's a simple fix, or is it like a lot of things that like is taken into consideration? Like for instance, like if I told Yusuf to come out there and shoot, even with video, it's kind of similar. I think you would agree. So it's kind of similar. It's like, is that something that is simple, or what did you do to learn? Like, what is it, just practice or what?
Yeah, a lot of practice for me. I was very hard-headed and stubborn. I didn't watch any YouTube videos. I wanted just to get out and shoot. So I was just out there trying to learn myself.
Yeah.
I never really watched any tutorials on how to do it. I just said, this looks good. And a lot of the times, even when I first started, people are like, your composition so well. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just what I see and what I think looks good. So that's why I say it's subjective, because most of the time I'm not playing it by the rules, even with lighting, even with going outside. There's some people like dark and moody photos. Some people like it very overexposed and airy. It just depends on what you like.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Great points. I'm gonna ask you, like, what are your thoughts on this part right here? So, when I Googled, things of steps to take for photography, they mentioned that, looking, your subject in the eye. All right, like that was like one of the important steps of like making sure that you look the subject in the eye. For example, like if you're taking a photo of somebody sitting, you don't stand on top of them and take the photo, or you don't like put it below them. Like you actually be, center, and basically like you're having a conversation with somebody, you look them in the eye. The photo should be looking the subject in the eye. What are your thoughts on that?
I disagree.
Okay.
Oh, I disagree. I mean, if you want to have a standard nice photo, sure. But I think you should shoot from above and below. Get a different angle of them, Just make sure if it's like a subject, don't shoot up nose. Nobody wants to see like the inside of your nose. And if you're shooting above, if they're already short, you're making them shorter that way. But also just, you can change the perspective. There's no like right or wrong angle. It just depends on how you move your subject. So that's where you have to learn posing. You have to learn what looks flattering on somebody.
Okay. And then my next one is, if you're outside, you should always use flash.
No.
No?
But that's also hard because I love flash. I love it. It definitely can add so much to a photo, especially when it starts getting dark outside. You just have more control. But also, I feel like I'm trying to like bounce kind of away from that a little and still challenge myself with the sun and with whatever elements I have. If it's very harsh sun that day, learning to play with it and see what I can create with even harsh lighting, which is not always flattering.
Yeah. Okay. And then my next one I'm going to ask is, I guess when taking a photo, you should have it focus. I mean, have it in focus on the subject. That is, that you're taking a photo. Like, always focus on the subject. You know, don't have the subject in the background. How about that one? Like, for example, you're taking a picture of somebody, but there's like a festival going on behind them. Like, be focused on the person. Don't be focused on the festival that's going on behind them.
Well, if it's like a paid client, yes, you don't want to, but
Yeah.
sometimes that can be art too, to have something out of focus. So I think it depends on what the occasion is. If it's just for art, yeah, change it up. It doesn't have to, you can make that black and white and moody and just kind of have, like, say it's a festival and there's a person right there. Imagine they're blurred out, but the festival is in focus. That can be a really nice art piece right there, just black and white. So I think it depends on what the occasion is that you're shooting. But most of the times you want your subject in focus.
Yeah. So you definitely want a subject in focus because, like, you know, you mentioned that the festival was in focus. You don't want to take a photo with, like, you're confused about what the focus is. Or is that okay as well?
I think that's okay as well. It's going to bring eyes in so many different directions that sometimes that looks cool.
Yeah.
I think, I'm telling you, photography, it's just like any other form of art, very subjective.
Yeah.
It depends on what your style is and what people enjoy.
I love that. What are y'all thoughts so far, Yusuf, what you're saying?
I have a question for the camera situation. So
Yeah.
when you're taking a photo and you want the best camera, best quality, etc., and where do you think is the best way to upload it to and to your phone?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I personally, so my Sony, I think most of the cameras now, you can send everything via Wi-Fi. I've had trouble with that. Honestly, I feel like
Wi-Fi just depends on your connection.
I'm not sure if, I don't know the technical standpoint on that, but I do know that when I do transfer photos from my camera via Wi-Fi, it doesn't come out as sharp.
Yeah.
I like to upload everything through my through my laptop and look. And for my uploading setting, are you asking how to get the most high quality image? When you're I always pull everything up in Lightroom and I'll save it full quality. 100%. So when you're exporting, you can export it. I export JPEG and then just highest quality, and you can see the size of the image. The new cameras, their megabytes are so high, so you can, you'll never use that. If you can use that size, but unless you're using it for a billboard, there's just no point. But yeah.
Zach, what's your thoughts so far?
No, I just want to know, in the studio right in Detroit, what is in there?
What's in my studio?
Yeah.
I have plenty of paper backdrops. I have some box props. I don't know. I have a lot of lightings. I think Omar's seen different modifiers and color gels to create different lighting effects. Lately, I've actually decided I'm gonna be a little bit more frugal and not buy as much props and products and start using more of what I have, and then also the power of AI.
Yeah, so I was gonna dive into this. So before we started the show, we were just talking a little bit, and we all were interested because you were mentioning how the power of AI is taking over photography, or is about to take over if it hasn't already. So, listen, AI is such a subject that it's man, it's very we're just in the beginning stages of it. I'm kind of worried, but at the same time, it's you got to take advantage of this because everybody that's in the field that you're probably in. So it's talk to us when it comes to AI and photography. What's been happening these days?
So much has been happening. Adobe just released their Firefly program, and that is wild. I just started playing with it last night, so I don't know the full effects of it. It's in beta right now, so they're just testing it out. I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. The only issue I have is we're not going to know what's real and what's not real. And you can even create different mountains and scenery with it, and it looks so realistic. People are going to start asking where was this photo taken? And it could be in your backyard, which is cool for people that can't travel, that don't have, the resources to do, or even expenses to spend to go take that amazing photo. And now you can just do it in your backyard or, down the street. You don't have to have the nicest, you don't have to have the most luxurious things to create it in AI.
So, but it's not the photo though. It's the editing software.
Yeah. So I mean,
So like you're not really even taking the photo realistically. You're just editing really well.
yeah. So it's just gonna take away a lot of editors, which it does suck because there's people that's their like livelihood right there. Is they just spend all
Yeah.
day editing. So I kind of it does suck for that part of it.
But the advantage is that you have so many opportunities now to take great photos and be in situations that you probably never would have been able to be in before.
Yeah, but I think that's where video is going to play along, where you're not going to just be a photographer anymore. You have to be a photographer and a videographer because now with Instagram, you have to make reels to stay in the algorithm. So a lot of people are going to want to see the behind the scenes work of what you create. And if everybody's using AI, you're not going to really, unless you're showing them how you're doing an AI, most people want to see how did you create that amazing image. When they find out it's not real, it's almost like catfishing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, for sure.
Would you say AI is another word for Photoshop?
No,
No?
because
Okay.
there's so many different like parts of AI. You can do. I can put my voice, all this that we just like all the recording I just put. I can put into a voice translator, and you can just type in whatever.
Oh, no, I'm talking
It's
about
crazy.
like for the like photos, like how editing photos.
No, it's not that it's not that advanced yet.
got
You can tell. Most of the time you can tell if something's AI, or at least if you start looking at it,
Yeah.
you'll find out really quick.
Yeah, we're entering a world that's just it's like so many still question marks that's involved, but I feel like it's gonna be the new norm. And like you said, I think the biggest thing is, and it's not just with photos, it's with anything. We're never gonna know what's real or what's not, and especially now as a society that we tend to like, we see something, we believe it. We don't like do the research, we don't like to like look into it, and so majority of society. So it's like we're gonna see a photo, we believe it. We're gonna see this article written, we're gonna believe it. We're gonna see, especially photos. Like people be like, all right, photos, they're real.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a real situation, and it's like history, man. History might not be the same. Like kids learning about things, like they might see a photo of something and they're gonna, and that's the only photo that they seen, and like they're gonna believe that it was real. That's kind of
terrifying.
yeah. For sure. No, that's something I've been thinking about, but it's definitely interesting situation that's been going on with AI and stuff. So, moving on to the next question. There's that famous line that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay, what do they mean by that? Do you agree with it? Is that a phrase that you've used before? Do you maybe think it's more than 1,000 words? What are your thoughts?
A picture's way more than 1,000 words. But I think what they're saying with that is you can tell more of a story with a picture, or just think about it. Try to explain a picture. Like say if you're looking at a picture right now, try to explain it. It's gonna be 1,000 words at least of you describing each thing compared to actually looking at it.
Yeah.
And then everybody has their own idea of what a picture is.
Yeah.
So it's worth way more than 1,000 words. It depends on each person and what their idea of that picture is.
Yeah, I wish I was asked these guys this question first to hear their answer.
I would have said the same thing.
No, see, now
Yeah,
they're taking your answer.
yeah, I
You
would've
know what I'm
said
saying,
photos.
Emily?
Because like I was like, going back to history class, like they show old photos and stuff. You could just tell from the photo of what it is and how that photo was taken.
How about you, Zach?
Yeah, like in history class, you can see like all like that. You know what I'm saying? All like the background. Say like there's pictures of like the old courtroom and stuff. And, like old people sitting. You see a lot of things. You make up a lot of outcomes of what's going on in that picture.
Okay. Let's see where you're going with this. So this 35 and plus league have questions. If you want to say pass, pass. Okay, because I don't know if this question is easy to answer or even someone can answer. So we were talking about the subject and being in focus. He put, what if the subject is a flower or a plant? Like, how would you take the photo if it was a flower or a plant?
I love macro photography, so I love to get like the very little details of that flower or plant. So
Okay.
definitely in focus. Yeah, most of the time it's always in focus for me.
Okay. Does a cup of coffee or smoking a cigar make someone look more sophisticated?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the question.
I know that there's so many photos that I've seen where there's people, smoking a cigar, or there's like a girl, she'll be holding a cup like this, and
Yeah.
But I don't think so. But props they definitely can add to a photo. So
When do you think it's the best option to use a black and white filter?
that's a really good question
Mi-
because some that I think it's more about like a storytelling with black and white. You know, so if the photo brings like a story, like I guess all photo is storytelling, but I think for drama or depth, I like to add black and white to actually focus more on the picture than the colors. Or if there's a lot going on, it's a very busy background, black and white, it definitely saves the day. So if you have like a lot of clashing colors, that helps.
Well, listen, we're probably halfway there so far. So, Ramsey, we're going to go ahead and run our second ad of today, which is the Qahwa House. Emily has been doing an awesome job so far, by the way. Shout out to Emily. She's in the building today. If you're at home watching, feel free to shoot away the questions. Obviously, people will watch it later as well, but just want to throw that out there. If you're at home and you have a question about taking a photo or photography, this is the time to ask it. I am reading off the questions. So go ahead and Ramsey run the Qahwa House ad. Shout out to Qahwa House, and then we'll continue with the show.
The Qahwa House. The Qahwa House is the first coffee shop of its kind. The Qahwa House is a family business established in 2017 for the sole purpose of providing the best quality Yemeni coffee with no added preservatives, artificial additives, or flavors. You can stop by Qahwa House to try their famous Yemeni latte, Adani Shahi, Mafawad, and Jubani coffees. You can also stop by to try their delicious pastries, such as the Yemeni favorite sabaya, their sembusas, and their new menu item, Everything Mini Bites. There are currently 4 Qahwa House locations, with 2 of them coming soon as well to make it a total of 6. Their 4 locations is West Dearborn, East Dearborn, Williamsburg, New York, Lombard, Illinois, with 2 new locations coming in Canton, Michigan, and Petersburg, New Jersey. So no matter where you're at in the country, be sure to stop by a Qahwa House and get a glimpse of what the Yemeni culture is all about.
All right, we're here having a great time with Emily. Like I said, she is the photographer. Emily, first of all, if you want to, quickly mention, I know we're in the middle of the show, but we can even do this at the end of the show one more time. How can people reach out to you? How can people get, book an appointment with you? Anything like that?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is Emily Rogala Photography or Emily Rogala. There's a booking link in my bio, so just click that booking link and I'll get with you. And then another way, you can also add me on Facebook. I don't think I can accept any more friends, but you can follow me on Facebook through Emily Rogala.
There you go. There you go. So she's on Instagram and Facebook. Those are 2 ways. Someone, he just said, he or she, because we don't know if it's a he or she, as I always like to say, photos are worth more than 1,000 words. So that person is agreeing with us as well. All right, so Emily, we're gonna keep it rolling, okay? Photography is its own form of art. How is this so? Because every art is different, right? And you kind of even mentioned it too, like photography, like it's like many arts where it's like so subjective, but it's its own form of art. Can you tell us a little bit how it's a little different than everything else?
Well, now it's kind of hard because it can be created like an art through Photoshop. But if you're just taking a photo by itself, I would say it's more about the subject, getting the details. So that's how it's own form of art, is based on the subject that you're shooting and the angles. So I think, again, there's all different styles of photography. And I think that people follow other photographers based on that.
So let me ask you this: when this new trend of people taking photos and stuff like this, like everybody's doing it now. That's why these social medias, Snapchat, Instagram, big photo takers. I mean, Facebook, you can include them in there. As a photographer, when you see people taking this many photos, like, do you sit there and say like, oh, they should have done this and should have done that? And what are your overall thoughts on this? Like, are you happy that a lot of people are taking more photos? Do you think like the art is kind of being lost in a way? Like people are just doing it? Just your overall thoughts on where the world is going with photography.
Yeah, I don't think there's an oversaturation of photos, even though people think there is. Everyone has their own style, and I think it's also about your brand and who you are as a person too. So some people kind of hide behind the photo. I think the new trend is to actually introduce yourself and say who you are as a photographer, your style, how you create it. People love to follow that and just see how the photo is, like, what's the process of that photo. And I think explaining how you took the photo and the meaning behind it isn't a bad thing always. Even with so many people posting and showing different, there's so many different styles of photography. I think that there's no such thing, just like YouTube. There's so many YouTube channels out there.
Yeah.
People are still watching. People are still going to need photos. It's not going anywhere, and there shouldn't be any competition in it. I'm not afraid of any of that because there's so many human beings. Everybody wants to have a moment captured. So.
No, I love that. I love that, man. And guys, by the way, feel free to shoot any question that you guys may have while we're here and while we're shooting away the questions. I'm trying to think of any question that comes to my mind, just even for our own personal sake, that what we trying to do and stuff like that. So definitely interesting to learn about this stuff. And when I came and we shot the photo shoot, you were mentioning that you would be interested in like having like a class or a seminar where like these younger kids who would like to listen and probably learn a little bit more about photography. And that's kind of when you mentioned like phones these days is a great start if people can't buy a camera. So for anybody that is listening, specifically for the youth who are looking into pursuing a career in photography, what advice would you tell them? Like what would you? They're sitting down in front of you right now. Like, what are some of the things that you would mention to them?
I think my biggest advice would be don't jump into getting the most expensive gear. A lot of people are pushing expensive cameras, expensive lighting, even backdrops. And I think that we get so caught up with, I can't do it because I don't have the equipment for it, rather than just pulling out your phone, and just taking pictures. Starting off with that is well more than enough, honestly. And sometimes a lot of these iPhone pictures come out so professional, you can't. Most of the time, I've seen so many where I don't know if it was the iPhone or a professional camera. So I'd say start off with what you have, learn the art of it, and then grow into getting the gear that you need, compared to just watching other people, YouTubers, photographers, a lot of things on social media. It's geared towards purchasing and spending money when you don't need that for photography. I've seen somebody make a camera out of a potato, so you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seen somebody make a camera out of a potato?
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know the actual, I should know, but I know it's like a pinhole, and you have to have it steady for a long time, and then there's a film that you put in there, and that's what creates the photo. So it's basically film, but you use a potato.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you can create art with that, you don't need the most expensive equipment. And another thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask people to take photos. I think that was my number one fear, and why I didn't jump so far earlier on was because of my anxiety of asking people, can I take your picture? If you find beauty in somebody, don't be afraid to ask them, or don't be afraid to shadow other photographers. If you are listening to this podcast, feel free to reach out. I'm definitely down to, have somebody shadow with me, and I can show them all that I know. And just go for it.
And so I'm just gonna ask questions off of just things that just crossed my mind right now as you were speaking. And so my first one is going back to the AI situation. How would you recommend somebody to take advantage of it as best they could? Like right now, if somebody's taking photography, what should they do?
ChatGPT is amazing for automated messages, coming up with ideas. Sometimes I get stuck on ideas. A lot of artists, they get in their little creative ruts, and I started using ChatGPT to come up with ideas, using AI as a way not just to edit my photos, but I would go onto Midjourney and type in something really crazy for a portrait, and it came up with so many cool lighting techniques and different colors and styles that I wanted to create myself. So you can use it as inspiration. You don't have to use it directly to implement in your photography. But there's a lot of new business tools out there that I would recommend, including ChatGPT. It's worth it. It's worth it if you want to run a professional business. If, again, you're in a creative rut, you don't know, I don't know, there's so many different ideas that you can come up with. Sometimes you get burnt out.
Yeah.
Kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm a little burnt out this week. But yeah, so, and then another thing I would say with AI is don't get you're gonna be able to tell. Don't get too carried away with it. You know, like some people are already adding like dinosaurs and crazy stuff to their pictures. It's cool to do that, but you know, I think it should just be more of like a simple tool that shouldn't be like pushed to like the dinosaurs and the crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some crazy stuff being posted lately, and I'm like, we can tell that's fake.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure, for sure. So, people that are afraid to jump in the field of any art, photography, videography, doing, making, pictures and stuff like that, drawings and things. So their worry is like the salary that comes with it, or how do you get paid? Okay. And I'm not asking you specifically, but, what are some ways people can find ways to make money? Because obviously some people use art as a hobby. Or taking photography at four wheels as a hobby. So, what are ways that people maybe could, make money and so that make this a living rather than a hobby for somebody?
I would say don't go in it for the money. The money's gonna follow you. If you're very passionate about it, it's gonna come. First, find what you love, and then try to find a way to make money through it. So, like with photography, I really love portraits. I really love commercial work. So the one way I do it is I'm not afraid to reach out to any business and try. Like I started doing food photography. That's something new for me. And I gave a discounted price to start off with. And it just kind of blew up that way too for me, where now more people are reaching out for it. So what I would say is first find what you like and then try to make money off of it. Don't just go in it for the money, because people know. And then if you're not really skilled in that area, you're not going to make more money from it unless you keep trying. And if you don't like it, you're just going to be miserable for the rest of your life shooting that one thing for money.
For sure. No. Those were a couple of them that are in my head as well. That's why I wanted to run by them and ask you that question as well. So this time now we are going to, before we head into the questions game, believe it or not, Emily, we're already reaching the end of the show. The questions game, we're going to run our final ad of today, which is Hanley International Academy. These guys are going to get prepared for the questions game. So shout out to Hanley International Academy. And then we're going to keep the show rolling on the road. Go ahead, Ramsey.
Hanley International Academy. Hanley is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. Did you also know that Hanley offers a virtual academy? So if you're looking for your kid to sign up for an online school, look no further than Hanley's Virtual Academy. But if you're looking for face-to-face, Hanley International Academy is located on 2400 Denton Street, Hamtramck, Michigan. The athletics there are great. The academics there are great. Shout out to the whole staff for being great teachers and educators for our leaders of tomorrow.
We've been drilling Emily with questions, okay? And I'm sorry, but I kind of had a vision of how the show would go, kind of go something similar to this, because I wanted to, like I said, I'm interested because, the stuff that we do, it's more videography, but there's a lot of similarities with the videography and photography. So therefore, it's kind of like I'm jotting my own personal notes down while we are having this conversation. But I want people to know Emily, the person. You know what I mean? Like, if that's okay with you, like, what do you love doing? And we know that you're a photographer. Do you do other stuff on the side, or this is just what you do? And maybe just tell us a little bit more about what you like and enjoy doing.
Well, I do love photography.
Yeah.
I think I've been pushing my creativity all around. So content creating, learning different business aspects. I love to flip furniture on the side. That's like another little fun hobby of mine where I like to like repurpose things. So I like to find the beauty in everything. So I'll do thrifting on the side. And yeah, it's just photography and different kinds of sales and business. I think that's something that I just really enjoy.
Yeah, and your photography has been getting picked up, especially on social media. Like, I realize that, like, you might post it in like Facebook groups and people love it. Great photos, by the way, very professional photos. I remember one of a photo that you took of Kitab Cafe. Okay, she took a photo of Kitab Cafe. Like, if I were them, that would be like the photo. Like, I'll make a poster of the photo because it was snowing, and Kitab, it looks nice outside the place, and like she captured it. It was a very great photo. Did they like reach out to you after that or something, or did they?
I have to get back with them because they did.
Okay.
So I took that photo and I went inside after because I'm like, oh, this. It was right when they first opened.
Yeah.
And it was just like a perfect day. It was like a big snowstorm. I'm like, oh, this looks like such a cozy, nice place. So I went inside and then found out it was actually someone that I went to school with that owns it.
Yeah.
So I definitely have to go back and reach back out to start creating some content over there. I'd love to. But yeah, that was actually I love that photo too.
Yeah.
It was like a perfect. I don't really take much like landscape or like outdoor photos anymore. So I'm trying to push still like a good balance between that.
And I also remember, if you wanted to quickly share this story before we get into the questions game, you and I believe your husband went on a trip where, just tell them a little bit about that, because I just want people to know about this journey of you and your husband's a time in your life that was interesting, and people might be interested in hearing about it, which is you know what I'm talking about. So go ahead, you want to share into that?
Yeah. So the problem with me is when I see something and I want to do it, I don't really do much research. I just jump into it. And that's what I did for van life. Seen so many, like, it was just starting to get popular at that time. Now it's like a luxury. If you're doing van life, like the vans are crazy expensive now. But we got our van for $4,000 and decided we were going to go to California. We were going to do a cross-country trip. It didn't go exactly as planned. The van was breaking down. I guess there was like mice that were chewing on the wires. And we did not have any like bear locks or anything. And we were like doing boondocking. So we were like out in the middle of nowhere sleeping at night. And the whole time I'm like, is there going to be a bear that comes in here? But it was the time of our lives. It definitely inspired me with my photography. Just going and actually seeing, we slept in Yellowstone. We traveled all over, but we did not make it to California. And little did I know that the reason the trip was kind of rushed is because I was getting proposed to. So the whole time my husband was like, is this the right place to propose to her? So he was just like looking at areas. Like, so we'd go to Colorado and he's like, maybe this is where I'm going to propose to her. But he decided to do skydiving instead. So, he jumped out of the plane first. I guess he had it all planned out. And, so when I was coming down, there was so much adrenaline from jumping out of a plane. I kind of feel bad because I was like, oh man, I just jumped out of a plane. And then I looked down and then it's like, will you marry me? And I was still in such a daze that I didn't pay attention to the sign as well as I should have.
Yeah.
But it was still such a special moment.
How about skydiving? What are your thoughts on that? Do you recommend it?
I actually want to go and like start doing it free fall. Like, I'm not just saying that. I started studying into it. You have to do 25 jumps and then you can just jump by yourself. It's amazing. It's not there's adrenaline to it, but it's not like a roller coaster. You don't get that feeling of, like where you fall, like that free fall. It's more of putting your hand out the car window and that wind just like hitting your whole body instead. So it's not scary. I'm like, it's not scary.
Yeah, I'd be terrified. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd be scared, but I definitely want to do it. I want to try it just because I want to say I did it. But I mean that I did it, but definitely interesting,
Do it here in Michigan. There's a place in Midland.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
I heard. I definitely check it out. So, the questions game. We got Zach and Yusuf about to go at it with each other. Basically, I ask a question, and by the way, these questions are ones that I came up before. And let's just say I'm gonna give y'all a hint. Emily turned down all the questions that I was saying because it was the questions game questions that I asked, and she didn't agree with the statement. So Emily, I just want to give you a heads up. Remember, this was from the internet. All right, don't be mad at me. This is all from the internet. Okay.
All right.
So starting off with number 1. All right.
Are we going off by your answers or
Yeah.
answers?
The answer that it was the parts where I was asking her the questions. I'm saying, okay, I got scenarios for you. Okay. So I just want to let y'all know it's almost memory at this point. You just gotta remember what I was asking her. The first question I asked her is, one step of taking a good photo is what?
Lighting.
No.
She said lighting, Yusuf. I told you it's what I was saying, man. It's what I was saying, all right? So it's not lighting. I mean, the lighting is true, right? That is a correct answer, but remember, this is stuff off of... You know what? I'm going to give him a point, Zach. I can't be... You cannot be... It's not the wrong answer.
What was the answer? Background or something?
No, the answer was looking the subject in your eye, in the eye.
All right.
Okay? So go ahead, Yusuf. We'll get you the first point on that one, all right? Number 2, remember, this is stuff that I was saying, so it could be not right at the same time, but whatever. When outside, you should use what? And it starts with the letter F.
I didn't even need the letter, but flash.
Flash. Go ahead and give him a round of applause, Ramsey. All right, he got the point. And we gotta be fair. We gotta give Yusuf the round of applause for getting the first point too. All right, so shout out to Yusuf. All right.
You gotta be more specific.
We love.
When you say flash, you gotta say during the night, the dark time. You can't just say during the daylight. Cause I was.
You could do it during daylight too, though.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
flash, you
yeah.
wouldn't Notice it. All right, go ahead.
So it's 1-1. This is what I love. It's tied for the final question. Here we go. All right. You know, we usually argue, by the way, so be ready just in case it might happen. When taking a photo, you should move the subject in what starts with the letter F.
If I
Remember,
get a
she didn't agree with it, but this is off of the internet.
subject and you can't repeat the question.
I mean, if y'all both don't know,
No,
when
you-
taking a photo, you should move the subject in starts with the letter F. Move the subject.
If I get it wrong, I'm out. I lose.
Yeah, of course.
All right, you should. If you're taking a photo, you should you should move the subject in frame.
Do you know the word?
Focus.
Focus.
Focus, bro.
Oh.
my gosh, bro. I was about to say. All right, go ahead. Man.
The word is focus. We're gonna give Zach the victory in this one. Frame is close. Frame is close. All right. Did I just turn on an episode of Family Feud? Yeah, you did. That's what happens at the end of this show. That's kind of what it is. We kind of like to have fun and we argue and stuff at the end. All right. I'm getting my phone ready, Emily. Okay, because this is the weekend motivation time. So I'm gonna let you know that this is the advice. If you want to talk about photography, if you want to just talk about in general, something that you wanted to say to people out there, that this is the clip that we pull out on social media. So I post it. I record on my personal phone right here. But I'm gonna give you time to think about it because I want to say quickly, if you are listening right now, be sure to subscribe to all of our pages. You have YouTube Oz Media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Oz Media. You can listen to the show later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. Future reference, if you ever want to call in, the number is 313-306-1750. Again, 313-306-1750. Shout out to all of our sponsors. You got BC Adhesives, The Balkan House, Hanley International Academy, Qahwa House, Juice Box, and hamtramck. We appreciate all of them and the support that they give us. Shout out to Emily, believe it or not. She is focus and frame are synonyms, they're saying. Okay, that's what is it? Are they synonyms? We're doing ask the photographer. They keep score of who won, by the way, so that's what they need to know the answer.
No, because frame is like inside. So if it's out of frame,
Okay.
it's different. Focus is like if it's in focus. What's being
Focus in the frame.
in the frame.
Okay. Yeah. So no. All right. There we go.
What about when you want to say you want to put something in focus, and then you want to put something in frame? That's how you could use similarity.
I've never said I want to put something in frame. So
My man trying to get a point, Emily.
Nah,
He's
but-
trying to get a point. All right, here we go. Thank you, Anonymous, for synonyms. Okay, shout out to that guy. All right, whoever that guy is, 35 League, we appreciate you. I just want to let you know. Okay, kept us entertained. All right, as well. So, Emily, what is your weekend motivation for the people out there? Let's leave them with some great words of wisdom.
should I look right here?
Yeah, you can look
Okay.
right here. All right, so go ahead, Emily.
So my weekend, wait, is it weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. So my weekend advice would be go out there, create content, and shoot. Don't be afraid of what anybody's telling you, and just keep posting. Even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels, cringy, just keep posting. Don't be afraid of what anybody thinks, because you never know where it's going to get you in life.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Ramsey, can you go ahead and give her a round of applause? Yeah, I feel like whenever we put the camera, I was like double
I'm like,
pressure.
like,
what
I know, like-
yeah. So you got two
Okay.
cameras going on at once. Let's start off with these guys. What were your overall thoughts on today? And what was the biggest takeaway maybe from today?
Like you said, keep posting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on AI, by the way, Zach? With AI, and I know you're still learning about it, and you're still young. You don't know much about it, but
I don't like it because, like you said, you don't know what's real now. You don't know what's fake.
yeah.
I don't like it.
Yusuf, you want to go ahead and share your thoughts on today's show and what you probably the biggest takeaway?
First off, thank you very much for coming on. But I want to repeat what you said with the AI part. I really feel like the AI, man, like you said earlier throughout the show, it could, change a lot of things, and it could be dangerous and it could be good at the same time. But going back with the show, I really like how told me about the camera, which camera is the best, and how to put in the different software and things like that. And yeah, just one quick question: when you were in high school, um, has anyone older than you or someone inspired you to start into photography?
Like, was there
Yeah.
a person?
Well, I said I didn't watch any YouTube tutorials, but I did watch YouTube videos of photographers. And two of my favorites, one is, I think she's actually from Dearborn. Her name's Jessica Kobasi. I think she's the same age as me, so I wouldn't want to say older, but I used to watch her videos, and she's very inspiring for me. Now she's traveling all over. And then also Manny Ortiz, because he was very sponsoring the Sony cameras, and he created such amazing images with just that and off-camera flash.
Would you recommend, because with OBS, you can use I don't want to call it like a photography camera, and you can use any camera to shoot video,
Yeah.
to go live and stuff like that. Would you recommend using one of these kind of cameras to shoot video?
Yeah, I mean, I think to start off, if you're getting into videography, start off with that and then actually get like a videographer camera. But it's still good.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Obviously, that's something I was going to ask you personally, but just wanted maybe somebody would want to know if getting a photography camera works for video
Yeah, you
capturing.
get best of both worlds with that.
Yeah,
You know.
that's a good thing too. Like, you could take photos with these cameras. All right. Well, with that said, Emily, final words, final comments for people out there. Ways they can follow you one more time. Any final last?
Yeah, definitely. Add me on Instagram. It's Emily Rogala Photography, or on Facebook, just Emily Rogala.
All right. And, thank you, Emily, for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. And I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. I know you're going to probably hopefully watch it later. And then, I think you did great.
Oh, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Guys, this is my first podcast ever, so.
yeah. No, she did a great job. Great job today. Again, this was season 2, episode 35 of The Movement.
The
movement.
We hope that you enjoyed this episode. We will not be going live next week, Saturday. We have a flag football tournament next Saturday that Ramsey's going to take over, inshallah. Hopefully does a great job and gets us to the championship, Big Rambo. And then the following Saturday, we will be back. So next Saturday, we will not be here. So I think it's the 10th of June. We'll be back on Saturday, June 10th. We'll see you all then. We hope you have a great one. And